Anatomy Trains invites you to take your career to the next level with Anatomy Trains Structural Integration, ATSI. We're kicking off the next training this September in Maine under the guidance of Tom Myers and our expert team. Come map the pattern and shape the change in this transformational 3-part certification program. Visit anatomytrains.com for details. Precision Neuromuscular Therapy has been teaching high-quality seminars across the country for over 20 years. Founded by Doug Nelson, PNMT uses problem-solving skills and precise treatment options to get powerful results for your clients. PNMT seminars focus on honing your assessment and palpation skills to precisely target the source of your client's pain while understanding the why behind the what. Meet us in a hands-on seminar or online in the PNMT portal and let us join you on your learning journey. Learn more at pnmt.org.
I'm Doug Nelson, and you're listening to the ABMP Podcast, a podcast that speaks to the massage and bodywork community. So yesterday, I was pulled in about 30 different directions. Have you ever had that feeling where you have so much stuff that's swirling around, you don't know which thing to tackle first? As I was in the midst of that struggle, my phone buzzed, and it was a client in pain who was contacting me. And my response? I'll see you in 20 minutes. And really interesting, after the session, my mind was just really clear. I knew what to do. I went home and I knocked off those tasks one by one. And then I thought about it later and thought, wait a minute, which one of us actually benefited more from the session? My client or me? And then one of the tasks, just to be honest, that was in front of me is I need to record the next podcast, and I wasn't sure what to record. And after that experience, it became really clear to me, and this is what I want to share with all of you, and that is the idea of bidirectionality. I've talked about this issue with regards to manual therapy about like antidromic and orthodromic directions and nerve flow, peripheral things, re-stimulating central mechanisms, that kind of stuff. But today I want to take a step back and just examine the many benefits of massage therapy for the therapist. If I was going to reference a study in massage therapy and began to talk to you about it, you would immediately assume that you're reading about the benefits of massage to the client, which is a fair assumption because that's what almost all the research is about. And I just don't think the benefits to the therapist are talked about enough. And I think that may be a deficit in our profession because I think people don't realize and we don't highlight how amazing it is, what a privilege it is to be doing this kind of work. And this can't be only me. I hope not. There must have been times when you personally were just frazzled, many different things going on in your life. But when you walked into that session and you closed that door, things got better really, really quickly just from the focus of doing the work. So many times I've actually closed the door and then I kind of lean against the door and say, I am so happy to see you, more than you know. And they'll laugh like, what the heck? Is like, because when I close this door, nobody can get to me, right? It's just you and me in this room focused on what we do. The world is outside the domain of these walls, outside the holy domain of the treatment room. It makes me think many years ago, working with professional athletes, how you can imagine they are pulled in a myriad of directions. Can't you just sign this little picture? It would mean so much to this child with cancer. And that's great, but it just goes on and on and on and just people, everybody wanting something from them. But as they would tell me, once you get inside the lines of the court, all that disappears, right? It all is on the outside. The court, those lines are sacred. And the same thing, I've taken that to heart in the treatment room. In that treatment room, the absolute total focus should be on the client. It's about what I feel in my hands. It's about reading and taking in information from every sense that I can muster so that that client has my full and complete attention, and I can react and respond to the information that I'm getting to create the outcome that the client is hoping for. And really, that kind of intensity, that kind of focus, that kind of demand is, honestly, it's like meditation in action. And again, I wish that there was more of a focus on this. A friend of mine, I don't know if she ever followed up on this, but I absolutely love this idea. She wanted to do massage research, but doing it on the therapist, taking a whole host of biomarkers from heart rate variability, stress levels, just a whole host of biomarkers, and wiring up the therapist while they do the work and see the kinds of physiological changes that the therapist experiences when doing the work, in a way, not receiving the work. Although it turns out doing and receiving, it's a little nebulous, right? Like you think you're doing, but you're actually on the other end of that communication, which is the very essence of bidirectionality. And I think we even use the term, we do massage, or somebody got a massage. I kind of struggle with this idea. Like we've gotten used to this idea as massage as something that you do to another person instead of an exchange of information, an exchange of communication with another human being, with another nervous system. Doing massage is a unidirectional thing in a way. And I'm really advocating for maybe the old-time expression of body work, which is a bidirectional exchange of information. And, it's a parallel. It's not dissimilar, really, to the arts. The famous pianist Glenn Gould talked about, the audience as a distraction. Sorry, buddy, I really disagree with this. And I've talked to many, many artists. I have the privilege to work with them and listen to them as they talk about how much an audience affects them and changes the way they perform and how they react that evening. And it just makes sense. I mean, in one sense, why would people even go to concerts? I have a really great audio system in my house because I love music, but I go to concerts all that. Why go to a concert when you have great recorded music? Because recorded music is not the same as hearing an artist live, because there's something special about that relationship with the audience. And that's what I hear performers. And I think all of us in the audience can feel that. We are somehow changed and we are part of the connection. We're part of that conversation. It's hard to imagine that as a therapist, when I feel tissue soften, when I feel a nervous system quiet down, when I feel neck muscles soften into my hands, I think it'd be somewhat miraculous to think that that doesn't have some effect on my own body as well. Now, I could understand maybe it wouldn't if you weren't paying attention, but if you are deeply focused and you are picking up that sense in someone else, how could it not affect you? Just like when you're communicating with other people and you have this sense that someone's really fully listening to you, it changes your own communication, right? And when you have that sense that no one's listening to you, it changes what you say, right? It's a bidirectional thing, even though one person seems passive and one person seems active. It's really not like that at all. And another aspect of bidirectionality, a little redirect here, but it's something I talked with my staff about yesterday, which is this idea of assessment, because we were talking about that. When I say that word, immediately you think therapist assessing client. Guess what? It's bidirectional, right? Like who's assessing whom? When a client, especially a new client, walks into that office, guess what? They're doing the assessing as well. Like, who is this person? Do I trust them? What's their skill level? What's this all gonna? They're reading and trying to interpret information that they're taking in just in the same way that I am reading and interpreting information that I'm taking in. So I think it's an important thing for all of us just to keep in mind that, it's a two-way street. There's a bidirectional flow of information, and then assessing the meaning of that information at the same time. So word to the wise for all of us who are in that role, keep that in mind with everything you do and everything you say. There's also this sense of just learning from the deeper connection, a deeper humanity with clients. I mean, I can't be alone, again, in all that I have learned from my clients over the decades. Sometimes we'll be somewhere with, some group and I'll say something and people are like, that's so interesting. How'd you know that? And my wife will jokingly say, well, half of what he knows he learned from his clients. And she's actually right. Because people who are passionate about their fields of study or the work that they're doing, guess what? They're passionate about it and they'll often share that, right? And I'm sure that's been true with you. So you learn stuff about things you had no idea about from people who love what they do. What a blessing, right? And then there's also, at least for me, certainly watching someone who's in chronic pain and handle it with just such grace. That's incredibly inspiring to me. Or people who are handling big challenges in their life and they're vulnerable enough to share them with us and the insights they learn from them. I remember one person who lost his wife and just saying, listen, buddy, just as another person to another, don't wait to travel with your wife because you never know, right? Don't save it for later. And it's something I've taken to heart, right? You learn from other people's experiences if they're kind enough to share them with you. And if there's any question about that, if you've ever attended the funeral of a long-term client, you know that when you sit in that room and you look around, you have a relationship with that person that few people in that room also had. And they have shared some of their deepest thoughts with you. I'm sure that's probably true for you as well. What a privilege that is. It's not like you can ever share them with anyone else, but that's a really deep and privileged connection that you had with that person that few people in that room could really understand. And one more thing about learning from people, I hadn't thought about this in years, but just came up as I was thinking about this and learning from clients. I remember I was asked to treat a really famous singer who was performing in our community, and I actually went to her hotel to do that. It's not something I typically do, but I would certainly do it in this case because people like that don't like to go out in public. So I met her she came to the door in the hotel, and I could tell she was distressed. And she said, come on in, but can we just sit down for a few minutes? And the television was on. We're watching CNN, and there was a bombing in a city that she had just performed in a place that she just loved. And she was just really distraught at the inhumanity of all of this. And she said, do you mind, I just need to watch this for a few minutes. So we watched CNN, and then afterwards, we just kind of sat there for a minute. And she said, well, I know we should probably get on the table. And she said, but I can't imagine in the face of this kind of event in the world, I'm going to go out and sing some songs. Just seems frivolous. But anyway, so we're on the table. We do some really cool work. And then there's a long period of silence. And she said, just in one moment, she just kind of startled. And she said, I got it. I know what I'm doing. She said, you know what? The world needs this deeper sense of shared experience and humanity through the arts now more than ever. She said, I'm doing that concert and it's going to be incredible. Like, wow. I mean, just watching her nervous system and her emotions, her brain go through that thing of coming out the other side of this and no, what I'm doing is actually really important. And I have to say, I was in one of the first rows for that concert. And when it ended, just this, big audience, everybody with these big glowing smiles and this sense of we all shared something incredibly special. And I remember when she was taking her bows, at one point as she was coming up, she just made direct eye contact with me and gave me this kind of knowing nod and smile because we too had shared a moment of connection and humanity. And I saw that come to fruition for everybody in the audience, that epiphany made real and a shared experience for everybody else. So to end, I would say in a world filled with uncertainty and injustice, we can all respond to that by doing our craft with a deep focus and with deep attention. Not only does it bring peace and humanity to those who grace our treatment tables, but we too are the beneficiaries of this bidirectional relationship. And how lucky are we to have such a role in the world?